Now, I know it's traditional to start by saying welcome and getting you to say something very loud back to prove that you're awake. But I'm just glad that you're all here this morning after last night's fun. I know it's hard to get up for the third day of the conference. You're probably feeling a little tired. You're starting to think about flying home. So I do appreciate the fact that you are here this morning. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us. For us, this is the biggest event of the year. And for me, the satisfaction in this event comes from learning about all the things you've done with our technology. We believe that our technology has tremendous potential. But that's all it has until you take it and do something with it. I kind of think of it, it's like my children. You raise them as best you can, you send them out in the world, and you hope they do good things. And it's really gratifying for us that all of you are doing so many good things with our technology. So today's focus is really on solution creators, on people and organizations that build things and bring them to their customers, their organization, their markets. So I'd like to dive right in. I'm going to spend just a few minutes this morning kicking things off, and then you're going to hear from a bunch of other speakers about what we're doing and what our customers are doing. So Terry talked a little bit on Monday morning about these transitions, these inflection points, these profound shifts in the market. And, I'm losing my hair, it's going gray. I've survived a number of these things. And you may say, well, survival's not that exciting an objective, but my wife always tells me if you don't meet that objective, none of the rest really matter. So for us as solution developers, each of these big transitions is an opportunity to either thrive or not, to either thrive or fall away. And I think this transition to GenAI, which is coming close on the heels of the previous one, is really going to be a profound one for solution developers. So we've had a lot of talk about AI, and it's been gratifying for me that it's not all, shiny object pie in the sky, that it's kind of rooted in reality, as it needs to be. But I want to focus a little bit this morning on what it means for solution developers, and in particular, solution developers who run the enterprise, gotta work kinds of applications. I think for those organizations, and many of you are in the audience, this is really a key turning point. And I'd like to take a bit of a risk by offering you some advice. And you get advice from lots of people, but much of this comes from watching our customers. Much of this comes from being reflective about what we've done well or not so well. So I'm going to spend a few minutes offering a little bit of advice. The first, and I say this as the person who's supposed to be responsible for strategic planning at InterSystems, is that I think success with GenAI is not a top-down kind of thing. I think we have to look for ideas, opportunities from the bottom up. And we're trying lots of different ways to do this. You're going to hear a little bit later today about a process we've been using of solution-a-thons to do it. And I'm not going to spend time talking about that process, but I think the important thing to understand is that we crowdsource ideas within InterSystems, and we launched one focused on GenAI and got almost 200 ideas in a short period of time. We then narrow that list down to some ideas of interest. We like to get about 10 of them, maybe 11, maybe 12, and then people volunteer to work as teams on these ideas. We then narrowed that 11 down to 3 that presented to the senior management team. Out of that came 1, and I'm not sure if it's the winner or not, because that one idea and the group behind it now gets to be subject to very rigorous scrutiny about, is this really an idea worth pursuing? Is there a market for this? Can we build it? How do we bring it to market? Lots of other things. And I think this is a pattern that's really become very important for us, not to think top down, but to think more bottom up in what we do. So my first piece of advice is experiment, experiment, experiment. It's hard to figure, what's going to be the best path. There is no one path. You've got to experiment and run in parallel. My second bit of advice is unfortunately really counter to how enterprise solutions have generally been built. We unfortunately end up thinking about enterprise solutions as they need to be valuable to the organization. And we don't spend very much time thinking about, are they valuable? Are they useful to the human beings who use them every day? And in the world of healthcare, we see this a lot, where the users are quite dissatisfied with what they're doing. So I think the key to being successful with GenAI in the enterprise is to find those opportunities which benefit the organization and the user. And the reason for that is that these solutions demand lots of change from both. They demand that the organization change how it does things, and they demand that the users change how they do things. And that change is really hard to pull off if you don't have benefit on both sides. I think healthcare has struggled to find that use case, and I think we saw a good demonstration of it in the ambient AI space. I think this may be the sort of killer app that launches GenAI in healthcare in a big way. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time taking you through that today. And we can't claim that we found that killer app all by ourselves, but we certainly had sort of ground up thinking about, wouldn't it be wonderful if? And we found ways to test this idea and kind of move it forward. So I really do think, as you're thinking in your businesses about bringing GenAI to enterprise solutions, you've got to understand what's the benefit to the organization. They won't buy otherwise, but also, do the users benefit? I think the third area is probably of no surprise to any of you. We've been focused on data quality, on healthy data for quite a long time. It's probably not surprising as a data management company. I think the thing to understand is that with AI-powered solutions, we really see the effect of poor data or high quality data in two ways. You know, the value of the solutions we can deliver depend on the training data that's used to construct a good model. They also depend on the data at each customer site and how well we can leverage the combination of the model and the local data. So I think this is going to put even more pressure on all of us to make sure that the data we're using are of extremely high quality. Next, we turn to my favorite area of interest. Many of you I know are developers, come from a developer background. Creating the code is the center of the universe, and it's important. But how we get these GenAI powered solutions out into customer organizations, you know, is really a challenge, is really key. And I think collectively we need to be rethinking everything we do in terms of deployment and governance and support in bringing these applications out into the market. It's certainly something we're thinking about a lot. When I think about the solutions part of our business and what we've tended to focus on, you know, it's about kind of organization-centric thinking. We've selected these workflows and these processes. The system is designed to support those. The system's designed to make sure everybody, you know, follows the right path. We've built structured training and proficiency testing and other things. We control the rate of change. We do releases periodically. It's a big deal when we do that. We focus on ensuring that the system is reliable, that it performs well, that it does these repetitive things extremely efficiently and reliably. Okay? Does that sound a lot like GenAI to you? You know, I think the GenAI-powered solutions are going to be much more user-driven. They're more user-centric than organization-centric. They're more conversational. Where I go next depends on the answer I got just a moment ago. It's less the system driving the workflow and more the human being driving the workflow. You know? It's going to be an environment where users are continuing to experiment, whether they think about it that way or not. They're continuing to find a path that works well for them. They're going to adapt to the system's going to adapt to them. Okay? We're going to see change continuously. You know, it's not going to be a once a year, we're upgrading to a new version. The system's behavior is changing and evolving all the time. And I think we've got a whole new challenge in terms of how do we monitor what's going on at our site? How do we determine if the model is performing well or not? How do we manage that boundary between what the system should be doing and what the human being should be doing, and making sure we're keeping the right balance? In healthcare and medicine, that's critical, but it's not a boundary that's a bright white line that's going to stay fixed in one place. So I think this area, you know, is one that, particularly for healthcare, but for other domains as well, I think is really going to be very challenging for all of us. I think our customers are looking to us to guide them. We're looking to them to help guide us. I think together we have to figure out how to move forward. So I think this really is, a profound change management trial that we all have to reckon with. Two more. So, the next topic I wanted to talk about is ethics. AI ethics is a topic quite widely discussed in every corner. And I was actually very happy after the session Monday morning because I think we had a speaker who did an extraordinary job of kind of explaining the issues, but also talking about how they've resolved them out in the real world. So I think it's very important for organizations to decide on a set of principles they're going to use to guide their operations. I've listed on the screen 5 that we have selected. These are on our website. You can't see the URL because it's too small. At least it is on my little screen. But you go to our website and find these. They are the essence of what we think is important in this arena. But none of that really matters if you don't put systems in place to ensure that the organization understands and lives by these principles. Writing them down is a necessary first step, but it doesn't actually get you very far. And it's really important to ensure that people in the organization understand these. They understand their importance, and they act accordingly. One of the areas that's been talked about a lot that I think is really key is this notion of transparency and explainability. And we saw actually some examples in the demos yesterday about how we're thinking about that. Okay, you came to this conclusion. Why is that? Well, in some cases, we can go back to some recorded voice and demonstrate that. But I think in order to have trust, we need to have a high level of transparency and explainability. We have to accept the fact that we're going to be wrong sometimes, hopefully not that many times, but we need to make it as easy as possible for the human being to understand where we're wrong and to not lose faith in the system as we go forward. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today, and I think I heard Merv talk about this on Monday and a few others. I think Merv probably really does believe it, but he's also being polite to us, coming to our conference and say, pick your partners wisely. And we'd invite him back even if he didn't say that, but we do appreciate hearing it. But this is actually something that's always been very important to us. I think about the data platforms side of our business as being about empowering the creators, the developers, to build great things. That's the business that we're in on the data platform side. Provide great technology, put it in the hands of great developers, great things happen. Another important part for us has always been to make sure in what we're doing for our existing partners, our existing customers, and their existing solutions, there's a good path forward. Throwing everything away and starting over for GenAI is not a winning solution for anybody who's out here. And we've really focused a lot of effort on making sure that while we're gaining brand new customers, we're also reinvesting in the existing products and customers we have. So we're very focused on ensuring that the InterSystems Iris platform can bring you forward into the GenAI-powered solutions era. We are also building solutions of our own. And we are, as you might expect, quite interested in understanding how we can drive those solutions forward and what we can do in the platform that benefits our solutions, but yours just as well. So I think one of the key things for us, and one of the reasons, I'm excited to have Don and his team up showing some of the things we're doing, is because maybe it'll inspire you to do other things in your solutions, but also because it puts pressure back on us to make the platform better and better. And Don's a noisy customer, but he's not the only customer. And we are really focused on this feedback loop and on continuing to make the platform the solution of choice for you and others in building GenAI-powered applications. So that's my, quick unsolicited advice. You should take it like all unsolicited advice. But we believe that together, we have an opportunity to go to the next level, and that GenAI is a threat for all of us, but it's also the biggest opportunity for all of us, and that together we can help move things forward. So we've put together, I think, a really interesting agenda for today that's focused on, GenAI, but also how do we innovate? How do you innovate? How do we move great ideas through the pipeline to successful solutions, successful partners, successful customers? So I hope you find the rest of the day, or the rest of the morning, enjoyable. It's my pleasure now to introduce our next speaker, Tobias Wingman. He's managing partner of Rapid AI. He's an author, speaker, advisor on artificial intelligence. In his role as managing partner of this German AI consultancy, Rapid AI, he helps B2B companies around the world innovate and grow their business with AI. And the one thing I can tell you for sure is he didn't have ChatGPT generate this bio, because it would have come back based on everything that's out there in the market with a lot more flowery words and a lot longer. But I've had a preview of what he's going to talk about this morning. And I hope you find it as useful and interesting as I did. So thank you very much. It was great to see all of you. And if I don't get a chance to say goodbye later in the day, I look forward to seeing you at next year's Global Summit.